Hi guys, welcome to another episode of The Aspiring Entrepreneur. I'm your host Hamza Chowdhury, and in this video I'm going to give a following update of the Tesla stock. We did a video Sunday night talking about how I would expect the 625 to 630 sort of price action the next day, and we definitely got that and a lot more than what we bargained for. And so what I wanted to do was, considering all the things that are taking place with obviously again the drama between the stimulus talks, the delay, the offering that Tesla did, I wanted to just do a follow-up video for you guys as opposed to sort of doing something on Sunday where some of you guys might be potentially stuck in the stock. And so let's just kind of go back and look at the history of the stock. So back here, September, we had the split action right here, and we had this massive gap up the next day. So everybody, who could potentially afford Tesla or was waiting for Tesla to split to get in, got in, and we had quite the move. So we had a high of 500 and a low of 440, and then we actually gapped up the next day close to 537. And so the 500s was not actually a new area for the Tesla stock. And what happened right here on this pre-market was that, and I won't forget it because I usually trade pre-market, is that Tesla had announced a public offering. And from what I've read and what I've understood is that Elon has mentioned a couple times now that they're not going to raise money. And so this was the second time Tesla raised money in 2020. And you can see that the stock started to unwind. Okay, so we had this bullish momentum on the upper band here on the Bollinger Band, upwards momentum, and then from here all the way to here, we found a bottom of around 307, 320. We had essentially a drop of 33%. So for a lot of people who were essentially buying up here, bought the day before, after the split, potentially were stuck, or at least sold their positions or got stopped out. And so all of this flush is as hard as it is, it's necessary. And we saw it, of course, this week on Planeteer. You see it all the time when a stock makes a big move, that there's this sort of correction from the bullish momentum, and it's needed because, again, we talked about in our last video, is people are just holding on. And if you're holding on to a stock and there's not more people coming in and there's not a lot of sort of trading happening, and the demand is there but nobody's selling, right, then how does the stock move? We need sellers, we need buyers, we need a market. And so when you get these flushes and you're flushing people out and you get these sort of long candle wicks and you're getting people out of the stock and they're selling and there's all the selling pressure, well, guess what people start to do, right? You get new buyers, people who didn't want to buy at, let's say, 500, but they were willing to buy the stock at 400 or 300, whatever that price level is. And so we had the sideways action, and this, S&P news just completely is just blown up the stock. I think we can all agree, right, that we traded from, was like 405 all the way up to 500, or sorry, excuse me, 600 plus. We're looking at a 60% move in a month. I mean, that's just, ridiculous, especially for a stock like that. And so we have a lot of people buying up the stock. We know, we know the index, we know the story. But guess what Tesla did again? They did an offering. And so what I think we should understand, and I did want to talk about briefly in this video, is that, keep in mind, guys, that this is all benefiting us, the investors, right? So if we're a Tesla stock holder, we're making money, right? If we're going long, or for example, if we're going short, we're making money if it goes down. But the company itself, right, the valuation may change, but the company itself doesn't get this money, right? They may be shareholders, they may see their personal portfolios go up, but the company itself isn't making any money off of this move. So what do? They basically throw an offering. And so most companies, what they'll do is they'll say, we're going to raise $5 billion. And we know Tesla is exploding around the world. They're building gigafactories. They're, building different types of cars. They're in all the different sectors. We know what Tesla's doing, and that's why we're a Tesla long holder. But they need money in order to do that. And so what do? They offer stocks to the market. And so if you look here, briefly pre-market, when this was announced, guys, this went from $664 down to $621 pre-market, which is why it's very dangerous to trade pre-market. Even though it's something I do, you got to understand you can't go full size in pre-market, because imagine if you were someone either here in the previous day, or having that FOMO action, or potentially someone here and one announcement, and let's say you weren't even aware of it. Let's say you were vacation or using the restroom, making coffee, in essentially a few minutes, we had this is a 15-minute chart, we had a 40-point drop Okay. And so what happened, and what I want to contrast this with, is what happened back here, right? So we had this sort of unwinding action to the 50-day support here back in September. But look what actually happened this time with the offering. Okay. So we had this drop. We sort of consolidated sideways, and then guess what happened? Look at the levels that we started seeing the buyers start to buy back right at the low of that candle, right? So right around the 620 range, we had this move back up. But look what happened, okay? So we went right back up. So we didn't unwind like we did this day where we just sold off after the offering. In this case, we actually bought it back up. So this, the news was there, but the offering hasn't been, the shares haven't actually been sold into the market yet. Okay. So this was just the news. And what they basically said was from time to time, they'll be making the offering. And so we had this buyback, and then we started to go sideways. Okay. So what I wanted to do, and sort of to finish up this video, was I went short on Tesla today, and I went short full size right at pre-market, and it was right at the top, which was awesome. And I want to tell you sort of why I did that. Okay, so we were trading here sideways around the 350 range. We had this gap up, massive failure, obviously, and we got right back up there. Okay, so we had this push. Again, I'm looking at these levels. Okay, so when you short, you want to see fail through momentum. So you want to see a test of these highs and a failure. So we were up here, 660. What did we do? We failed. We had a test today. So this is the pre-market today of the same high. We failed. Then we tested again. So now we're looking at about 3 or 4 times. So when we're testing 3 to 4 times and we keep failing, where do you think we need to go? Okay. So here's the last test, which happened right around 5:15. Again, I'm recording Pacific Standard Time, so it'd be 8:15 if you're in the East Coast. So again, the high on this was 659. So we knew that there's this piece right here around the 659, 660 was clearly an upward resistance. And so we start to see this failure. So I started shorting pre-market, and I don't necessarily recommend it. What I would do if you are doing a pre-market strategy, I had a stop. Okay. So I could have been completely wrong, which is fine. You can't always be 100%, but I had a stop right here at the pre-market high, right? Because if we blow this top, I mean, we know Tesla can move 10, 20 points in a matter of minutes. So when I shorted, I was shorting right here at this candle, but I had a stop here going into the market open. So just in case, for whatever reason, right, the algos played us again, I'd have a safety net. So look what happened. We completely flushed down. And so what you want to do when you short is follow your risk management plan and have, where exactly do you want to cover? So for me, ideally, this would be the cover, right? When it's sold off, where do the buyers buy it back up? So right here around 645, 640. Now I covered a little bit higher. I actually covered around here around the 648, I think it was 649, 650 range, right? So I only had a few points, but you can see that this showed complete weakness. We had bought up, and we were trading under the fast moving SMA line, and then the market just sold off, right? I mean, everybody, if you were watching the tape, which is the time and sales level 2, you could just tell it was getting heavy. I mean, it was just heavy, and we tried to buy back up. We failed, and then it completely collapsed. And so surprisingly, most of volume traded down here. But I was looking at these levels, and I was just doing scalp plays. And the scalp plays, because it was moving and it was heavy, it was literally 2 to 3 points in a matter of like 2 minutes. And so what we wanted to see here was once we saw this flush all the way down to 588 in a matter of seconds, we were already trading right back up. Okay. So again, we had this massive flush, and eventually we knew we were going to get back closer to the fast moving SMA line, which we did. And then we kind of flushed again, and we were trading sideways. And now again, if we look at our daily RSI, we've been overbought now for pretty much since the beginning of the S&P news. Okay, so for some of you guys are like, well, why do we need this move? Why do we need this flush? Well, we've been overbought. People have been paying more premium. They've been buying and paying more for Tesla than really it's worth. And these flushes help us get new traders in, help us get people out, right? Get those stop losses, get the, when the shorts are shorting, remember we're buying the stock back. Okay. So as this thing is downward pressure and people are selling it and they're cashing out their move, people are also shorting or having to buy it back. But the market in general showed a lot of weakness today. So what we really want to do is get this RSI to come back here. And keep in mind 50 is sort of the neutral zone. Obviously I don't really necessarily see that, But what we want to do is get back into a sort of a more reasonable range before we continue our upwards momentum, which I still see, until we really get in the inclusion in the S&P, and then we'll start to possibly unwind, and we can start looking back as it unwinds at these levels. And again, if you're someone who bought here in the 400s, or even in the high threes, guys, you've probably doubled your money or close to, right? So it makes sense to take your profits. Obviously, you heard the offering news. That always makes people nervous because that can happen at any time. And Tesla, for Tesla, yeah, they're going to come up with it probably in the next couple weeks to take advantage of the fact that they can sell these shares at a higher price. And that's why it's not going to unwind now. It's going to unwind later, right? Because they're going to want the price high. They're going to want it right at the S&P when everyone's buying it up, and then they're going to announce it. And that way, when they sell it, they can get that 650, that 680, these highs that we saw right here, right? So we're going to retest these highs, no doubt, right? But we're going to flush some people out before we can get back up there. All right, guys, this was a longer video. I apologize if you made it this far. That's awesome. Probably really invested in the Tesla. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like and share and subscribe to the channel. As always, we are a 100% free content channel. I don't sell you any programs, any chat rooms, anything like that. Everything we do is absolutely free. Just appreciate your support, and I wish you the best of luck as always, and I'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye-bye.